Hi guys, welcome to Beauty and Gratitude. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I have some great guests for you, so just hang in there. It's been a very interesting week. I was talking to one of the guests about all the COVID testing and the PCR test. It's interesting, but we got to keep each other safe. One thing I want to talk about is that we have a really great shop, Celebrity Go Shop. So one of the, hopefully soon, Oketsa, which is what I'm wearing, is beautiful. We have books, accessories, and also cosmetic companies and hair companies. So check it out, our Go Shop. And what else do I want to talk about? Gratitude is the center of the show. And we've talked about 100 Days of Gratitude, which is my book. And it helps me as well. Every morning I write down 10 to 20 things I'm grateful for. And also I have these meditation books that I look at, and it kind of sets the tone for my day. And I find that if I don't do those exercises in the morning, and let's say I'm running late, which I never am, but if I'm running late and I go to work, I feel so off balance until I ground myself. So it's a form of grounding by doing gratitude. And I actually use my book too. I look at one passage to help me walk through, my day and to set my mind and my tone. And we'll talk about that with the guests. And before I yabber too much, I want to introduce Tanya Choi. She's a brand strategist for beauty brands and hair brands. So welcome, Tanya.
Hi, D'angelo. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm great. And speaking of gratitude, I'm feeling very grateful to be featured on your show tonight on Friday, November 20th, as we're nearing the end of 2020.
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how it all sort of how we all tie up everything with a neat bow.
Yes. That's a good point, a neat bow. I did a podcast this morning talking about ending a cycle, right? Mm-hmm. And as cycles end in our life, new ones begin. And I know for you and your business, you always have many projects going. What are you currently working on?
So I'm actually working on a project that is yet to be announced, but it's more beauty and tech space.
Great.
And we're looking to really disrupt the beauty review experience, which we know is on one hand, it's a very manufactured process.
Yes.
We know reviews are very important, and that users and consumers are looking more and more towards reviews to aid their purchasing decisions. But at the same time, we know that there's so much of that sort of back end, sort of encouraging, quote unquote, of beauty reviews. So how do we create an experience that feels more transparent, more community driven, and it's more about looking out for each other so that we're making the best decisions possible? And so that's a project I'm working on that I'm very, very passionate about.
So is it under the umbrella of brand strategy, which is what you do, really honing in on what brands need to shift to grow?
Yeah, I mean, it really starts from more of sort of what is your truth and what is your purpose?
Right.
I think it really all starts from there. And from there, you can sort of then inform everything that you do as a business, right? Because if you don't have a real vision or a North Star that you're really marching towards, then then it just really becomes about money, and then it becomes meaningless.
Right.
So I think the biggest challenge is always striking that right balance between the vision and the purpose, but also being able to be operationally efficient and profitable.
Yes.
And that's sort of the unicorn of a situation where I think we take it for granted when we see these businesses who are flourishing, how it does take so much work on so many levels to get there.
Yes. It's interesting, Tanya. A friend and I were chatting about how venture capitalists, fund a lot of, new businesses, and how a lot of them are not profitable, but from the outside looking in, they seem to be doing really well. And then they they raise more money, 30 million, 60 million. How does that work? How really, we were trying to figure that out. We're how can you not be successful, but venture capitalists keep pouring money into a company? We're just trying to analyze the math. Have you thought about that at all?
A little bit. I'm not an expert in this space at all, but I would say from what I see, it's venture capitalists are all about opportunity and seeing of course they realize that, they spread their risk, right? So they know that not their entire portfolio isn't going to strike it big.
Right.
But I think it's about they assess based on what they know, and then they invest in the best way they can, and then seeing where it goes from there. I think you're right, though. Like, a very interesting point you bring up is, like, from the outside, it always seems like a brand is so successful and they're killing it, but at the end of the day, like, internally, they're really suffering, and like they're, you know, they're not profitable at all. And I think that really speaks to so much about, like, who we are as, like, as a society, right? Like so much of our, even with, especially with social media, it's like we can manufacture our own image, and it seems like we're happy and we have it all together, but really we don't. And so there's, like, that layer of, like, technology and media and all that that we use as a tool to make ourselves seem a certain way. And then on the other side, as an audience member, you kind of sort of interpret how someone is based on that image they project, and then you make these assumptions based on that. And then really it's like, well, you don't know what's really going on.
True.
Underneath.
Very true.
It's like that, you know, never ending sort of, like, you know, sort of concept of, like, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, who really, at the end of the day, the Joneses are really not keeping up with themselves.
The Joneses are overextended. What challenges have you faced in your business as a business owner, as a woman? Any challenges that you would want to share? Maybe one that you would want to share.
Just one?
You just want.
Well, you know, just to kind of give you a broad answer, you know, I grew up more of a creative spirit.
Yes.
And I think growing up with, you know, I was born in the States, but my parents were born in South Korea, and their motivation for coming to the States was to give me a better life, and to them, a better life was for me to be a doctor or a lawyer, right?
Yes.
And that's not what I felt in my heart. And so when I decided to, you know, I was clearly more of a creative growing up, and my father was very much like, when it's time for you to go to college, you're going to go to law school. And I was like, oh no. And it was the whole thing. And, you know, I've always sort of had that internal struggle of, like, you know, pleasing my parents, but also doing what's true for myself. And eventually, you know, as you know, D'Angelo, I always wanted to be a film director, and I did, you know, pursue film work, but at the same time, I also went to business school. And so I was always sort of in between. And I think that's how I ended up in beauty and in marketing and branding. But I think my biggest challenge personally has been, like, trying to, you know, try to balance within myself what's most important. Is it what I want, or is it about what my parents want? And is what I want making my parents happy? That's almost like a third dynamic.
Yes.
So trying to figure that out has been a challenge. And then I think I entered corporate, you know, as you know, I worked for L'Oreal and Benefit and Sephora in the corporate world, because I felt like that's what, like, we sort of idealize corporate. It's like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm supposed to, like, go in there, and I started as an assistant manager, then I was a manager, then a senior manager, a director. And it's like, you're supposed to, like, one day want to be an SVP or a CMO and then a CEO. And then you step back and you realize they're all just people.
Right.
It's like the self-created hierarchy that makes us feel validated in some way. But at the end of the day, we all have the same goals. We're all struggling with the same things. We're all learning from each other. Yeah. And I stepped away from that 4 years ago because I felt like it just wasn't the right way to live.
Right.
And so then I started consulting without just, like, a real path. And, like, coming from a place where there's, like, a path outlined for you, than to go into a place where, like, I have no path and I have to create it for myself. It took me about a year to figure out what that really meant and how to navigate it, and if that was something I wanted for myself. Today, I would say I'm very happy I took that step. And I realize very clearly now, life isn't linear. It's just is.
Yes.
We have to be the best we can every day. And, you know, it's like going back to, like, keeping up with the Joneses and, like, portraying that image. Like, I think, like, for me, when I'm just real, I feel like I'm flourishing. Like, on a call, it doesn't matter if I'm on the phone with, like, a CMO or like a project coordinator. So I'm like, if I get on the phone, like, I had a shitty day, and so I might not be my best today. And that just brings us all together as, like, humans. We just produce the best work.
Right.
Because we see each other as humans. So I think human-centric work, I think, is ideologically something that we all strive for, but it's hard to do.
That's true. You know, Tanya, for me, I've worked with you. I think you're a dynamo. I really do. And I think part of you being excellent at what you do is because you are creative. A lot of times in business, that's what they lack, is creativity and vision. And it takes creatives with a business mind, of course, to kind of balance like, hey, guys, let's look at it this way. And I know for you and for me, there can be resistance, but when it works, they're like, oh, I never thought. I'm like, told ya. So, what's on the horizon for you? What do you see yourself, your business in the next, let's say, 5 years?
I have a few ideas that have been sort of, it's been on the back cooker. And I think one of the things that held me back is that I've created like these sort of barriers for myself. I'm like, well, in order to actually be a business owner, be successful, I need to like check off these boxes.
Yes.
And recently I'm like, those boxes and that walls are crumbling visually for me. And so I'm just, for the next 5 years, I want to like completely disintegrate that wall and just feel like I can do whatever I want. But in the meantime, I'm taking on bigger projects. I'm exploring new territory. And one of my biggest projects right now, my core focus right now is helping a company in South Korea, which poetically brings me back to my roots in a very interesting way. And so I feel very passionate about them in a way I haven't felt about anything before. So things are just feeling really good.
You know what's interesting? Well, most of us know that South Korea is like the king and queen of beauty. It comes out of South Korea or Japan, really. So I'm glad you have that alliance now and really bringing that to the forefront. It's really amazing. So thank you. What do you find beautiful? Let's kind of go. What do you find beautiful in life?
I have to say, during this whole, during the pandemic, which I'm sure you've heard of, this is happening right now. I live in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I think it's a very special place because, yes, we're all experiencing fear and uncertainty.
Right.
And I would say in this specific area, it's very lively. It almost like forced us to come together in a different way to support each other. It's like I see people out there in the freezing weather, out there supporting businesses and buying coffee and sitting out in the cold to eat dinner with their families. And there's this saxophone player who comes out every night and just plays in the frigid cold. And we're out there as a community. And I think what I'm feeling so grateful for and what I find so beautiful is when humanity calls for it, we really show up.
Yes. We want to make sure everyone eats, literally, Wow.
And to maintain connectivity. Like, I think that's what we all really crave at the end. We'll die without it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. They're saying that there's a lot of loss during this time, not only from COVID, but through suicide, because it's the connectiveness that people aren't having, so it's important that we do go outside our door and with a mask, of course, and have dinner and listen to music. You're right. It's very true. And it's very beautiful. And it's good for people to hear that about New York as well, because I've heard this thing, New York is dead. I don't like hearing that because it's not, No,
so come have a drink with me in Williamsburg. I will meet anyone there at any time.
I will. I definitely will.
But even like, I was just saying, like, back to the point, like even just before this call, speaking to Reggie and Kirk, who I'm just meeting briefly through Zoom, through a screen, very two-dimensional. It's just feeling their energy and their vibe along with someone like you who I've known for so long. It just fills me with like just energy and being alive. It's like there's still this opportunity to meet people and connect. And I think that's just so beautiful.
It is. And, I'll end on this note. During 2020, I've received the most yeses in my life. Yes, I'll take that call. Yes, I'll do that interview. Yes, I'll promote your book. Yes, and I call this the year of yes, and the year of many things being unveiled as well, good and bad. But I think unveiling is a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing, So thank you for coming on to Beauty and Gratitude. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
This was great. How can we reach you? What's your business if people are interested in talking to you?
You can send the crows over to Graham and Skillman. So I have a website, breathingbeauty.com.
Breathingbeauty.com. That's great. breathingbeauty.com. Tanya, Choi, thank you so much.
Thank you, D'Angelo.
And I'll see you soon.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Perfect. We'll be right back.
My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Soul Liberty Live. Hey, how you doing, sir? My sister, how are you?
Hey.
It's Lent, right? we might need some more wine for this.
So, let's get this party started, y'all. Hey, my sister, mademoiselle.
That is the most amazing introduction I've ever heard.
Oh, for being here. Oh, what an amazing day. Go make it even more amazing. Myself and Madison, Brian Wesley Johnson. Thank you for joining us on Saturday morning. Full of passion, purpose, and high quality living. See you next time.
Bye.
Watch Soul Liberty Live with Brian Wesley Johnson every Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on Soul Liberty TV. Watch Live with Jesse and Melva right here on Soul Liberty TV every Sunday at 5:30 Eastern.
Welcome back to Beauty and Gratitude, everyone. And I would like to introduce actor extraordinaire, Kirk Woller. Thank you. Hi, Kirk.
Hello, how are you? Thank you very much for having me, D'Angelo. I'm seriously honored and grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm honored that you said yes. As I was saying earlier before we went live, I've seen many of your films, through the years, and it's nice to put, you're the character, right? It's also nice to meet the man and get to know the man as well. Tell us about your journey, like how you began as an actor.
Great question. Let's see. Like Tanya, my parents are from Germany.
Okay.
So I'm a first generation American, which meant the same thing that happened to Tanya. The goal was to make a better life. My parents were children of World War II. They came over on a boat in 1952 after the war to make a better life for themselves. And so as a result, I too felt that sort of pressure to succeed at something more common. However, when I was in 8th grade, I don't know why my 3rd grade teacher suggested that I be the lead of the classroom play. And I had why? I've never thought of it. So anyway, I went home and I was able to memorize all the lines. And then we did the show and I had so much fun. I still remember it. I was 8. And then people would come up to me and they were saying nice things like, oh, you were really good. So for the first time in my life, I found something that I was really good at.
Yes.
And so it really stuck with me. Cut to years later, I went to undergraduate. I have a BS in marketing. I was the president of my business school.
Oh, wow.
And I had multiple job offers, management programs, and to sell for Clorox and their fast track management and all this other stuff. I won all these awards with the university. I only say all of that because I turned all that down.
Yes.
And I moved back to Seattle, where I'm from, and I started over. And so what I decided to do was do what I wanted to do. That was not a good thing for the rest of the family. No one understood why, but I did it anyway. And I started taking acting classes. I found the best acting teacher in Seattle.
Wow.
I started taking dance classes. I just created my own curriculum. So I was in a movement company. I was auditioning for fringe theater and regional theater, and I was starting to do commercials. I tried to do some modeling, hand modeling. I was doing anything. I know, weird, right? And so what happened then is I ended up at North Seattle Community College, and the woman that heads that program, her husband was a part of the URGAs, which is the Urban League of Resident Theater Association. And they also have the league schools, Juilliard, Yale, Harvard. And so they have these annual auditions it was actually in California. I was living in Seattle. And so I came down and auditioned for all these different schools.
Amazing.
Rutgers, FSU Upslope Conservatory, ba-bing, ba-bing, ba-bing. And you literally go into a hotel room, all legit, of course, but you would come in and then you would do 2 monologues, like a contemporary, a dramatic, and a comedy. And you just went from room to room and did this.
Okay.
And so luckily, I was offered 2 scholarships out of that. And they take 12 students. Each school takes only 12 students a year, 7 men and 5 female. And so I was offered a scholarship at Rutgers with Bill Esper because I wanted to train the Sanford Meisner method. And then at the FSU Oslo Conservatory in Florida. And I took the Florida scholarship because they had what was called angels. And not only was it a full scholarship, but I had an angel who would pay for my room and board.
Wow.
So for 2 years, I just ate, slept, breathed theater.
Yes.
And I did Shakespeare, Shaw, Chekhov, Moliere, movement awareness. I'm an actor, a certified actor, stage combatant. So, which means basically I'm a stuntman for the stage as well. So I learned a lot about rapier and dagger and broadsword and unarmed fighting and so forth, which has served me well. So I'm almost done with the story here. So I did that for 2 years. Sorry, this is long-winded.
No, it's good. I'm glad you're talking. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't often get to talk about this, so this is cool. So I finished that, and then when I was done with that 2-year MFA, I was invited to train with Sanford Meisner himself.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's, Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, Uta Hagen, these were the people that went to Paris to study with Stanislavski, and it was the group theater, Men in White, that just revolutionized theater in America, and that's Brando, Clift. I mean, all of James Dean, everybody came out of either Sanford Meisner or Lee Strasberg or Stella Adler or Uta Hagen, Bobby Lewis. And so I was blown away. So it was a 1-month intensive in Los Angeles. I came down, I did the 1-month intensive. And then luckily he said, I want you to continue training with me. So I spent 5 years with Sandy, working with him. I built the Sanford Meisner Center for the Arts, which is a theater in Los Angeles. And we did numerous plays, won theater, LA Weekly, Theater Pick of the Week. And so I just did years of theater, got an agent out of a showcase. That agent died of AIDS, tragically. And then after that, I just kept on doing theater. And anyway, I got an agent. I was helping somebody else try to get an agent, and they chose me.
Wow.
He's done fine. He's a big time producer now. So,
yes.
So I think that was his destiny. So anyway, and then I just worked my tail off here in Hollywood, and I just kept on working. So that's basically the journey.
And that's why I call you an actor's actor. When I did the promo for you, to get attention of actors that I know, it's like, Kirk's an actor's actor. You mentioned Meisner, and so many talented people learn these beautiful techniques throughout the years, that have made phenomenal careers. I know that you worked on, I'm just going to name a few of your films, Mercury Rising, Poseidon, Minority Report, Resident Evil, Extinction, which I'm a huge fan of that whole franchise, Swordfish, The Hulk. It's across the board, from superheroes to drama to action. That's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate. Thank you very much. And I just think all that training is so critical. And I think all that training has served me well in many different genres. It allowed me to be, I'm just a working character actor. That's all I am, just one day
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. One day I'm a dad, the next day I'm a serial killer, so
right.
it's really fun in that way. So yeah, I'm profoundly grateful.
What would be your ideal role? Like your next, if you got a really big role, what would be ideal?
That's a great question.
As a leading man, not a character actor, a leading man.
I'm not sure. I'll answer it this way, if I may.
Mhm.
I want to play a character that never talks.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, yes.
And so that everything, it's all in behavior.
Yes.
So it's not about the dialogue. So whatever that would mean, I don't know. I never thought about what the vision would be, but I am jonesing to play a character that just never speaks, but says so much.
Man, body language, being a makeup artist for over 30 years, body language, I can tell so much about a person. I listen to how they talk to me. I watch their body language, and it tells me 1,000 things. So I'm sure a character can say nothing but everything, which,
Better believe it.
which is amazing. I know that you have a program called actorclass.com. Can you talk about that?
That's really cool of you to ask. And by the way, 30 years is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody, in my opinion, making their living in the arts is a success. So way to go, man. Congratulations. That's a big deal. The makeup trailer is so hugely important. It grounds you every morning. It's the place where you start. It's the place where you end oftentimes of the day. That's a really important trailer on set. So thank you for your great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry, what was the question? I got caught up.
Actorclass.com.
Oh, Actor Class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what happened to me is, let's see, how do I make this abridged version? Because of my business background, I've tried to apply business to my work as an actor.
Yes.
So that manifested in many different ways. With my now ex-wife, we started a baby business. We invented baby products.
Oh, wow.
And it was wildly successful, and we sold all over the world. So I got the bug to do what this is, meaning I get to stay at home and work from home and be with my son more and not travel quite as much. So that stayed in me. So then later I said, how can I bring my business experience together with my knowledge of the business itself? And Actor Class was born in this way. Uber did a really simple thing, and Amazon did it too. Uber took people who needed a ride and hooked them up with people who could give them a ride with an app. That's all Uber is an app to connect those two people.
That's me.
Right on. And you're doing that as well. And when you think of Amazon, people have made stuff forever and they bought stuff forever. So why did Amazon become so big? They mastered fulfillment.
Yes.
It wasn't like that years ago. 2 days to get stuff, a day.
Yeah.
They mastered fulfillment. So anyway, my simple idea with Actor Class was to bring together all these amazing working actors who I've known for years, who have 30, 40 years of experience. You don't work every day as an actor. You often, even when you're working, you have days off. And they have all this knowledge, all this skill that's kind of just sitting there.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to hook up those people with people who want. I'm going to be the bridge. I'm going to be the Uber for people that want to learn how to act and learn from people that are actually acting.
And working, yes.
Working actors who are successful, but a big part of Actor Class to me is that they're kind and that they're good people, because there's a lot of crap out there, and I've experienced it. There's a lot of manipulation and questionable behavior, unfortunately, from a lot of teachers. And
yes,
I really felt compelled to create something that could genuinely help people that aspire to be an actor.
That's amazing. And I know part of it, you also mentor, you do one-on-one sessions, and that's more with you and not necessarily actorclass.com. How can people reach you as a personal mentor?
And thank you so much. You're so kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, Actor Class is a whole bunch of actors who are, first of all, do a monthly group mentorship, but then they're also available for one-on-ones.
Okay.
And I never planned to mentor or to teach. I just wanted to be this bridge and just be behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But after doing this, oh God, I don't know how much time. Quick backstory. I came up with actor class at the beginning of 2019 and
Wow.
opened the doors 2020. And my idea was to have online acting classes.
Mm-hmm.
That was my idea. No one was doing it.
Right.
So I thought I had some revolutionary, innovative idea, which I did.
And now.
And then February hit, and every single acting teacher that used to teach in a room was now teaching on Zoom.
Right.
So my revolutionary idea just went out the door. And now I was more like market share. I was just like one of everyone else. So anyway, that said, there's a number of different actors there that you can work with one-on-one. I decided to finally do it to be more connected. And quite frankly, I just wanted to see and learn what it was really. So yes, now I'm also, and so I have my own approach to acting, which comes from Sanford Meisner, Alan Vint, two of my main mentors, as well as my work in graduate school, and then 35 plus years on set and on stage and so forth. And so that is the Waller technique. That's WOLLER technique.com. And that just talks more about my approach to acting and what I do and how I do it. But I'm just part of actor class, but that was just a way to be more specific.
You know, I was thinking, I'm listening to you. We should definitely, I'll talk to Brian about it, but doing a partnership with Solivity to do a platform, because we do, we have Aspire, we have solivity.com, and we do, we'll talk about it, but it's just, we can definitely facilitate, you know, classes and different things for you from a technical standpoint. So
oh my gosh.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm profoundly grateful for that as well. Thank you.
Yes. You know, no promises, but I have an idea that it would work. And Brian is a maestro. Brian Johnson at Solivity is a maestro. He's helped me technically understand a lot of things. I always had social media. And as I told you during our conversation about a month ago, always had social media and I always like focused on that. But there was a lot of things I didn't know. And in 2020, I learned so much. I learned
about social media.
Yeah, about not only social media, but even how to put myself out there, you know, with the lights and being able to engage. All of this transpired in 2020. So we have a lot to talk about, and we will. We will.
I do I have a moment for one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I was, quite honestly, I was afraid to start actor class. And I mean afraid because I'm very quiet. I'm very humble. I sort of stay to myself on set, and I never wanted to toot my own horn kind of a thing. So I'm very low profile and honestly really shy. So but I thought that I need to come out of that. I have a son that I need to take care of and so on and so forth. So part of what you just said inspired me to say 2020 has been that way for me too. I've never done social media my entire life, which I started with actor class and my own name as well. And I just realized that I believe I have something of value.
Yes.
And I think you do too. You've been a makeup artist for 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years, okay? You have so much knowledge and experience that you don't even think about. And somebody asks a question and you can go, brrr, and you have answers.
And that's exactly how it happens.
and that's what happened for me is I realized, oh God, I guess, so it's not so, for me, it's not so much about tooting my own horn or it's more about like, I have something that I can offer and help others. Right. And speaking of gratitude, that just brings me so much gratitude and joy. And I was really surprised by that. I was not expecting that.
You know what? You wrapped up our segment perfectly. So thank you, Kirk. We're actually, if you can stay on to the very end, we'll do a round robin. But we're going to take a break, actually, and then I'll bring on Reggie Walker. I can't wait to talk to him and some real talk with Reggie. So we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Solivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Welcome to your new you with Aspire by Solivity. Virtual inspiration for your mind, body, and soul. With the help of at-home experts and celebrity guests, Aspire by Solivity provides tools to tap into the passion and purpose that lives within you. Find classes to educate and motivate you, from nutrition to your body and a whole lot more. So, take the leap. Start your new journey with Aspire by Solivity today. Sign up now.
Welcome back, guys, to Beauty and Gratitude. I would like to introduce you to an ex-NFL player, Reggie Walker. Come on, Reggie. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. We got a lot to talk about. So I wrote down a lot of questions, so I'll lead into it. Which team did you play for, and how long were you in the NFL?
So technically, I did 6 years, but I played 7. But since I didn't have the 3 games and I left during training camp, it's 6 accredited. But I played, so I'm saying it's 7. And I played with the Cardinals, I played with the Chargers, I played with the Broncos, and it was a cool experience. It was a great experience.
Wow. Did you always love football? Did you do it as a child? Was that like one of your passions?
Oh, I loved it. It was an escape for me. It was a route I went down because I understood that how I was feeling internally, it really served me well to like let all that energy out on the football field, and I loved it. I remember the first time I saw it on TV, I remember looking at it and I remember asking my dad, like, yo, what is this? And he's like, dude, it's football, man, and you know that you can do it too. And I remember looking at those guys and thinking that, well, these people were like superheroes to me, and from that moment on, I knew that was what I wanted to do.
Wow. You hit a key point. When a parent affirms something that you want to do, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. And, my parents are very supportive, even to this day.
Yes. What are some of your, did you have other passions besides football growing up?
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've always considered myself a person, I'm not a football player. I'm just a guy who plays football. Yes. And I've loved a lot of things. I used to break dance, and I used to go to competitions, and it was like a very secretive thing that I never let anyone know, but I had a big time love for it. And I was very good. But no, I've always loved the arts. I've always loved fashion. I've always loved just interacting with people and really stretching my limits. And I feel as if while I'm here on earth, I want to see what I'm capable of. And, I feel as if we're constantly figuring out the answer to that. What am I? What am I? What can I do? What's my purpose?
Yes.
And, I'm an explorer.
It's interesting. I've been saying this for a long time. We're multidimensional beings. We're not just one-dimensional. We're not just a football player or a makeup artist or an actor. We're much more, and that's beautiful that you're exploring all of those elements, Yeah. It's amazing. I want to talk about 1 and 6 as well, because ironically, I met someone who shot it and did the editing for it. You know, Andrew Langdon, which was amazing, and he told me all about it, and I could connect with it because I'm a survivor, you know, of sexual abuse. I was molested from age 10 to 12, and one thing I learned as I got older is to talk about it is truly freeing, you know, and it takes away the shame. It doesn't give the abuser power. So tell us about 1in6.org.
So 1in6 is an organization that helps with male sexual abuse survivors and gives resources and just support to, you know, survivors and family members. And it's been so great for me to like help promote their message and get it out there, because for so long, you know, you understand from living with the effects of the trauma from being abused that it really puts you in a place where you don't think that anyone can relate to you. You feel very lonely. And I felt a home there, especially once I started interacting with everyone else that was involved with the organization and with the Bristlecombe project. With David Lisak, he had such a phenomenal idea, and Andrew, he's such a great guy, and he has such a good eye. And just promoting those survivor stories is something that I'd love to be a part of. And, you know, I'm always pumping 1in6 because, you know, in my experience, even though, you know, 1in6 males have been sexually abused, I really feel like that issue really does affect more men than even 1in6.
Yeah. And it is important to talk about it because we do hear about women that are survivors of abuse, of rape, molestations, etc. But very often it's not talked about with men, especially men of color. And I think it's so important because a lot of times when I meet people, I literally can spot it. I can spot it.
Yeah. That was something I had talked about with my wife. You can tell.
Yeah.
And I feel as if it's a vibe that only, you know, someone who's gone through something like that can really understand from someone. And I'm so grateful that I can feel that. And I can see that with other people, because you never know, just like you've probably talked to individuals who, you know, like when I played in the league, for instance, when I started getting comfortable with talking about my story and what happened, one of the things that really caught me was I would tell my story, and then almost every person that I talked to about it, they were like, same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. And I always asked them, how many times have you said this? And they always said this was the first time. And luckily, I could see that on certain people and pull them off to the side and be like, hey, what's up, man? Like, how are you doing? Because there's so much work that needs to be done in that space to open up a safe place for people to heal. Because there's a lot of men that's not healing from it right now.
Yeah, they either lean into their uber masculinity or uber femininity, if you will. You know, I remember when I told my parents, you know, my mom, God bless her soul, she's still living, but I'm just gonna say it. My mom was like, well, do you think that made you gay? And I was like, no, Mom, that didn't make me gay. Long before that, I knew the deal. I was like, I knew the deal. And I was like, this was an adult abusing a child, you know? So I was like, have you confronted your abuser? Because I know for me, you know, I definitely confronted both of them. So did you?
Ooh, in a way.
Okay.
Because my situation isn't so cut and dry, black and white.
Okay.
My situation was the person who abused me and molested me, they got abused. And the person that abused them, we are still kind of like looking for that person.
Wow. Okay.
And so it's not like how I view the person that abused me, I look at it more like it's not their fault, because because of the age in which this person was and where I was, like they didn't know any better, you know. And I more look at it like it's that other person's fault. But you know, it's a very gray issue when it comes to
Yeah, and it's a cycle of trauma, right? It normally can be generational. We can call it a generational curse, if you will.
yeah.
You know, and it's really stopping that, you know, and really talking about it and freeing, you know, everyone that was involved, you know?
Yeah. And you have to talk about it because, you know, either like it was for some people out there that, you know, want to confront their abuser, like, you know, I would do it. But then even understanding the fact that it's not going to be what you think it's going to be.
Oh, absolutely not. You're right. Yeah.
You think you're going to get this powerful moment of
Mhm.
clarity, and it's may not happen then, but you're going to probably get it sometime afterwards, understanding that just that weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the fact that you can live life a completely different way than you thought possible once
Mhm.
that weight is off your shoulders. And that's
Right.
why I talk about it. That's why I know you talk about it. And, you know, I continue to do the work that I do, and you as well.
Yeah. We'll move on to something else, but it's just very freeing, you know, and I know it took me decades to process it,
Oh, yeah.
but when I finally let it go, I remember the moment. It was like literally I could have cried at ocean, literally cried an ocean, because I finally let it go and I surrendered. I was like, it is what it is. It does not define the man I am, you know, and will be, you know. So it's very beautiful.
It is. And I had that very similar experience just when that weight was off, and I just like it was like floating in the ocean almost of just peace. Because I was at war with myself for years and I was running from it. And then I just finally gave up and stopped running from it and actually ran towards it. And once
Yes.
I did that, it was like I couldn't believe that I could live this way, that I could think this way, that I could be free this way, that I could have this balance. And it was really amazing. That's why, and because I know that it's possible, that's why I'm always open about whatever.
Yes.
I'm so open about it. Like, because I want other people to experience that.
You know, I've worked with sex trafficking, you know, victims, mainly women they were girls and now women, for 17 years in New York City. They have what they call the Department of Justice for Domestic Violence, but sex trafficking is under that umbrella. And it's shocking how many young girls are brought into the US from all over the world. And, you know, they have children within this system, you know, and if they're able to get out, which I met the women that got out, and to watch them heal and become mothers, and to try to show them there's a different light in them. Like I would do this exercise around the room. I would say to them, I'm like, tell me something beautiful about yourself, but not in a sexual way. I never say in a sexual way. I said, tell me something beautiful about yourself. The room would be silent. Like they would have this dead look in their eyes. I was like, And I would look at one person, I'm like, you know what? You have amazing hair, you know, and then go to the next person, you know, your eyes. And I would give the minute, you know, examples of how beautiful the person's eyes was. And then all of a sudden, the posture would change in the room, and I would make them compliment each other, you know, and then the class would open up. And I thought, because they haven't been affirmed by the abuser, of course, and their families, a lot of times their families were the ones that sold them into trafficking. A light happens. And then when I would come back, let's say monthly, I would see a total like, hey, D'Angelo, like, you know, and it's not a place that you can go and take selfies in. So no one knew for 17 years this was a thing I did, you know, but I knew the rewards because in some way, that woman, her children, you know, because sometimes the children would come up to me, the little girls and boys would talk to me, and I'm like, I wouldn't know what to say, but there was always a counselor or someone in the room to kind of guide them and guide us. So definitely, there's a lot of work to be done on both sides, you know, but it's all about healing, man. It's all about healing.
It is. And that is such a great exercise because you're really hitting it. Like when you go through that abuse and that trauma, the how you view yourself is so negative.
Right.
I remember just from years of just thinking how ugly I was, how terrible of a person I was, the shame and the guilt that's around. And when I went to a treatment center, because I've been to a treatment center twice because of this, like I had to take on the problem, how it needed to be handled.
Right.
And that's when I went to the treatment center. One of the best things from a lady named Mary was she told me, she was like, you know, you're beautiful. You know that you're amazing. You know that you're funny and that people like you.
Yes.
And there's going to be people that are going to miss you if you're gone. And
yes,
I remember like just sitting with that, and I was like, nah, people aren't going to miss me. Like, no one cares.
Yes, they are. Yes, they would.
I just kept saying it and saying it and saying it. And then I just started crying.
Yeah.
Because I never like spoke into myself that way. And I never saw myself that way. And I was like, oh my God, like she gave me such a gift because I had no confidence up to that point in time. And I was like 27 years old and I had gone through this whole life and accomplished so much and did so much without confidence.
Right.
And then, without confidence. And then when she gave that to me, it was like a whole nother world just was opened up to me.
You just need to hear it. Once you hear it, it's like, oh, yeah. And then hear it often, you know? And I can thank many angels for asserting, you know, in my life and the life of others, really just giving them just a boost, you know, to uplift them, you know? So Reggie, tell me what you're grateful for. I mean, NFL, 1 in 6, your family, and your friend that introduced us, actually. So I want to thank him, David, for that. Yeah.
My business partner, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
What I'm grateful for. I guess it kind of sounds a little selfish. Well, I don't know how you take it, but I'm grateful I'm still here.
Yes.
Because for years, all I wanted to do was die. And all I wanted to do was just do all the craziness and ridiculousness to die. Like I didn't want to live. And to get to a point where I want to be here. I want to be a father. I want to be a friend, son, you know, a husband. Like I want to help survivors. I want to help people bring peace and contentment to people. Like to just get to that point from where I was at, like I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all the people that speak love and light and wisdom and peace into me. Like that's like, I'm glad you brought up David because thank God for David. You know, and I'm not the most religious person, but you know, but
I get it.
But thank you, like thank God for David. Like I was just telling him last night, you know, I don't have hardly anyone. I haven't had a lot of people around me that just spoke so much into me. Like, dude, you're great. Dude, you're amazing. Dude, you can do this. Dude, like, go out there. And when you were in a place where I was at, and you have that, like, you don't understand how much of a gift that is. That's how
I do understand.
Like say it and not like choke up.
Right.
You know, but it's like I'm grateful for people that do that for me, and it just makes it because it fills my cup up so I can do that for everyone else.
Yes.
And that's what I strive to do, and I'm glad that I'm here so I can do that to everybody, like give that to everyone, you know.
And Reggie, that's why you're here. And that's why each of us and all of us go through the journeys we go through to be a light, because I do recall many times not wanting to be here. And in hindsight now, I'm like, thank God I'm still here because there are things I never would have experienced, you know, and this soul needed to experience that. And how beautiful is that, you know? And I have a question, a last question for you and Kirk. So I want to bring Kirk into this, you know, about our soul's journey. You know, do you think you're on your soul's journey? That's the question.
Do you want me to answer that first or Kirk?
Reggie, you first, and then I'll go.
I believe I am.
Yeah.
I believe I am. I believe for, you know, all the trauma and the pain and everything, I really feel as if there's a lot of purpose in that, because just like we were talking about earlier, you know, being abused, like you're able to spot that on other people.
Right.
And I know that because I can spot that without them even having to talk to me, I can help them, I can save them. So I'm grateful for every bad thing, every good thing that's happened to me, because it put me in a position now so I can go and help and be of service to people. And I'm so glad that I'm in this. And yeah, I solely feel like I'm in there.
Yes. And Kirk, what about you?
First of all, gentlemen, I want to tip the hat for your courage to talk about what happened to you in your lives. That's profound and beautiful. And thank you for having the courage and the vulnerability to share that.
Oh, thanks.
With all of us and me today. I had no idea. The Mask You Live In, I don't know if anyone's ever seen that.
Yeah.
It's a documentary about, you know, what men go through and what this culture, how we are conditioned. You know, all you got to do is go to Costco and what are the boys' outfits, you know, for Halloween?
Right.
It's like, you know, tactical cop, or it's military, or it's just all aggression. And anyway, it's a great documentary. So men are not allowed to be vulnerable like both of you guys have been. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Am I on my soul's journey? Is that the question? Oh, God, man. My immediate answer is I have no idea. But what I mean by that is I don't, my soul's journey. Sorry, man, I wasn't prepared for that one. My soul's journey. Look, man, I'm just trying to be a good person and be honorable and do the right thing. And I'm sorry, man, I don't know.
That's the answer, my friend.
I'm listening, and I feel like I'm doing something that's really worthy at this point. But God, I wish I had a good answer. I would like to believe I am, but I'm not sure.
Kirk, I think you are. I think creating a space for others and creating a safe space for your son, that's our soul's journey, you know, love, encouragement, light, creativity. How beautiful is that, right? Guys.
Well, then, if that's what it is, then yeah, I'm all about that. So absolutely, man. It's really, especially as we all get older, like, yeah, it's love, man. You just got to be good, man. You just got to be good. We need more good men in this world.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of bad examples lately of men not digging it, and so it's really messed it up for a lot of the good guys, you know. So
yeah,
we need more good men. So thank you guys for both demonstrating that today. So yeah, if it's all about love, yeah, I'm on that journey.
Thank you. Kirk and Reggie, thank you guys. And Tanya, thank you all for joining me on Beauty and Gratitude. And we'll see everyone here next week with amazing makeup artist, Jamie Cortez of the Metropolitan Opera in New York City. So you'll get to talk to him, see his amazing work. And I'll see you guys here next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Beauty and Gratitude with your host, D'Angelo Thompson on Solivity TV, Fridays at 8 p.m. Solivity Magazine brings you the best in inspiration on Solivity TV. Check out our new shows.
Mark your calendars for Solivity Magazine shows by going to solivity.com now.